So, of course, now it becomes hate on Ryan Day week because his third-string quarterback couldn't get it done in a New Year's Six game, and 14-3 was the final. I watched this. I was flying to California and watched this game, and it was a shame that was the game where teachers get $1,000 for every touchdown scored because poverty for about 3.5 quarters until finally, out of boredom, Missouri puts a couple of TDs on the board. It's like congrats all day and all night and into the weekend for Coach Drinkwitz and the guys at Missouri. But that's not what I'm being asked about. As is usually the case, I know our audience. You guys are sadistic enough to want to talk about the losing team. And I have been asked, if I've been asked once, I've been asked 1,000 times, what do you think about Ryan Day now? You know, because anytime I speak glowingly about a coach, it means that I have personal stake in their future. And I deal with it sometimes with Cristobal at Miami, and I deal with it sometimes with Ryan Day at Ohio State, because I've had the audacity to suggest I think the guy's a pretty darn good coach. And now I'm really going to have the audacity to say, after last night, still think he's a pretty good coach. Never told you he's the second coming of Bryant or Woody Hayes for that matter. I've never even told you that they upgraded from Urban Meyer to Ryan Day. It doesn't have to be that way, okay? But there's really no room for nuance in these conversations. It has to be bumper sticker. It has to be fortune cookie. It has to fit in one tweet. And so either Ryan Day's great or Ryan Day's trash. And what if he's just neither of those things? What if he's pretty good to really good? What if, in the grand scheme of things, he's still a fairly young coach who's still learning his way? Now, I know what the pushback is on that. Josh, he's not a first-year or second-year guy. I didn't say that. I said, relative to some of these dudes who have done it for 20 or 30 years, he's still a pretty young coach. And here's the other thing. The Xbox mentality is such that if you do something and it's not working, hit reset. Well, if you're a head coach, you make decisions the best way you know how. You hire the best way you know how. You implement game plans and philosophies the best way you know how. And then, whether it works or not, you have to deal with the outcome and the circumstances. There is no reset button, is my point. If you hire a shoddy staff, you're stuck with them, at least until next year. And I'm not necessarily suggesting that's the case at Ohio State. What I'm saying is it may very well be that some of these changes that people think Ryan Day needs to make, he saw him long before you did. It may very well be that, unlike you, he can't just sit there and say, magic wand here, magic wand there. All right, I made those changes. That's not the way football works. It's not the way the real world works. So if you want to call that carrying water for the guy, call it carrying water for the guy. I don't really care. But the other thing is, I just think that there are a whole lot worse circumstances that could exist at Ohio State. Now, if we want to get granular on this conversation, if you want to tell me that you think specific layers of his offensive philosophy aren't good enough, I'll be happy to listen. If you want to tell me their staff is not a major league recruiting staff and you want to go person by person, have no problem with that. I'll listen. I may even agree with you on that front to some degree. But if you just want to tell me, well, he hasn't beat Michigan in the last couple of years, and they've got a 2-13 record as a university now against SEC teams in bowl games, that stuff is it's so absent context. All those things are true. Like, some of those things are true, but it's absent context. I don't even deal with it, because here's the fact of the matter. The fact of the matter is, If a kicked football goes 6 inches further inside the upright last year against Georgia, they win a national championship, and 70% of you have your mouth shut right now. Like a lot of you who are criticizing him, just if I changed the trajectory of a football off a foot in one game, in one moment last year, you'd think he was a genius and he could do no wrong, because all of a sudden he would be national championship winning head coach Ryan Day. Well, the reason I don't really have much to say to that crowd is not because your opinion doesn't deserve to exist. It's because I don't value it a whole lot if it's that easily changed. Meemaw taught us all the time, your opinion should move at the speed of honey, not the speed of water, when it comes to judging head coaches. Ryan Day's no different a head coach based on whether that field goal goes in and they go beat TCU into a coma like Georgia did. He's no different a head coach. His resume looks different. His Wikipedia page looks different. But who he is, when you cut him open, like the guts of a Ryan Day program, the DNA, his philosophy, the way he calls games, the way he builds and implements things, it's no different. It's no different if they turn the ball over in the first quarter against Michigan, leading to an early 7, versus them driving down the field. That's one drive. It's the difference in one drive. Are you really telling me, if you zoom out 50,000 feet, you can see the difference in the quality and caliber of a head coach based on those little minute differences in outcome? Because I can't. If you got a telescope that powerful, great. I can't. The other thing is, what is a Ryan Day program? So where I think there's some validity to some degree is if you want to look at Ohio State as a program, independent, knee-jerk reactions to any one thing. If you want to talk Ohio State as a program and you think there are changes that need to be made, I think you probably have that in common with Ryan Day. Like, I don't think if I had Ryan Day here on the stage outside the Rose Bowl and I said, hey, are you 100% happy with where you guys are? There's no way he'd say yes. You know good and well he'd say no. Now, he may decline to get into specifics, but they're not losing to Michigan 3 years in a row and failing to fulfill on their preseason goals and have him say, oh, we're good. We're good. The difference is in the details. And the other part of that is, what is a Ryan Day program? Because I got some people saying to me, a Ryan Day program, a Ryan Day team is not going to be able to succeed in fill in the blank, the future of the Big Ten or the future of college football. Well, I don't know that I agree with that because I don't know what a Ryan Day team is. I know what it has been so far, but my point is, hey, take this year, for example. Up until about 12 months ago, it would have been crazy to say a Ryan Day team can win defensively. Never would have said that. And then Jim Knowles gets into his second year here, and all of a sudden, they can win games defensively, and they can keep themselves in games like the Notre Dame game defensively, and then they can give their offense time to gel and become whatever version of itself it was going to end up becoming. We would never have said that about Ryan Day 2 years ago, so my point there is, what if we fast forward another 2 years and he's evolved another 30% here and another 15% there? He's still becoming, and they as a program to me are still becoming what they ultimately will be in concrete form as Ohio State football under Ryan Day. I mean, some of the least incentivized moments of your life to continue doing what you've always done are the moments when you're not getting the results you want. I mean, your results are a perfect product of what you have been doing. And so if they don't like the results right now, there's no incentive to keep doing things the exact same way. I don't think he'll do things the exact same way. But the difference is someone on Twitter can just say, oh, they need to be tougher. Like, what does that even mean? There's not a button you press in the facility, the tougher button, break class in case of lack of toughness. That doesn't exist. He may think the same thing you think, although there may be like a legal pad with 14 bullet points on it that get into the specifics of how he thinks he needs to do it. So I hear the criticism all the time. Oh, you're just carrying water for these guys. Well, I mean, if that means spitting what I think is just logic and common sense points of view on this, then I guess I am. But Ryan Day is a really good head coach. Call him overrated, call him what you want to. I don't even know what is he rated, by the way. Does anyone have the coaching ratings? We don't do that, so I don't know what he is rated. I think he's pretty good, and I know it's not popular to say today. I think Ohio State football is still in really good hands with Ryan Day.